that's his words, the right fit. So I'm not going to get into that.
You've got a collection of players on this team that really seem to struggle playing. I don't know if it was just playing in general or playing specifically his system. I'm thinking of Line A, I'm thinking of Domi, I'm thinking of Roslovic. There are others. How much can those players' games be elevated, or how much can they appear to be better fits with a different coach, a different message, and a different system, perhaps one that leans more towards the offensive end of the game and less towards the rigorous defensive of checking. Do you buy that theory at all?
Not really. I think Torch. I don't think it's a system thing. I think Torch is just he demands that you play disciplined, and he doesn't let anybody cheat. So that's basically. I've always told every player that comes here that if you work and you compete, you'll be totally fine with Torch, and he'll let you play your skill game and give you a little leeway here and there, but he's going to demand the same discipline and same work ethic and from everybody, and that is not to be cheated, and that's part of the strong culture that he's helped us build here, and that's what's going to require moving forward as well.
And last one for me, what sort of timeline do you have on this? Is this the first thing you need to decide this summer? Is this something that could go on potentially a while if you're waiting for someone whose team is involved in the playoffs, or how do you see this playing out?
No, I think we're going to take our time. The league's still playing. There's still some regular season games left, and other organizations are going to make their decisions at the end of regular season, maybe even after first round of playoffs, and we're going to make sure that we do our due diligence with all the candidates that we think are worthy of consideration and could be a good fit with us. So we're not in a hurry. We got some ideas already and people we're going to consider, but we're going to take our time.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Ryan Kennedy. Go ahead, Ryan.
Thanks. Jarmo, offense was a bit of a problem this year. You guys were near the bottom of the league. How far away do you think you are from getting more goal scoring into the lineup? Do you feel like you have a lot of work to do in that category, or do you feel like you have some pieces that may help out next year already?
Oh, I think we got some proven goal scorers here that maybe have underachieved this year. I think they're going to bounce back. This is such a weird year that I don't want to get into over analyzing it or over evaluating it, because it has been a strange year, and I think every single person that has been in our bubble here has struggled one way or another through these 4 months here, and the way the team was going at the end certainly didn't help that. But we have some players with proven history that can score goals. We've always been a disciplined team defensively. We weren't that this year, so we're going to get back to basics and get back to playing the right way.
And just a quick follow-up. Do you feel like you have strength down the middle right now to compete with some of the other teams in your division, assuming the divisions go back to normal next year?
No, I think we've talked about that before, that I think we need to strengthen that. We can strengthen that by getting better at it with the young players that we have. I think Alexander Texier, for example, took some big steps of being able to play center iceman full time this year, which he did, and that's encouraging to see. And Max Domi got back to playing center towards the end here, and Jack Roslovic had a pretty productive year actually offensively. I think he needs to sharpen his game on the defensive side of the puck, the face-offs and the D-zone coverage and all those things. But again, he played full-time center ice first time in his career in the NHL. He played that in the American League. He played that in junior and college, but first time in the NHL. So he's going to be a lot more experienced next year, and hopefully we'll still get the same offense as he was providing us this year, but we'll see a better two-way center.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Brian Hedger. Go ahead, Hedge.
Yeah. Hey, Yarmo, I was looking down the line here to this summer, and I think you've touched on this a little bit before, but the expansion draft. How much? I mean, do you feel pretty prepared for the expansion draft this time around?
Yeah, we've been looking at that for a year now, knowing what we have to expose, what we have to protect, and what we can protect. And I think we're in good shape this time. And a lot better timing for us than it was with Vegas coming into the league. So we'll have all the ingredients needed to be in good shape. As I said, you need some players to be exposed so that you meet the criteria, the rules, and then you can protect a certain amount of players, and we can protect all our core players that we want to protect. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and then later this summer, obviously free agency when that opens, you'll be able to negotiate right away with Seth and Zach, I believe, and others. Do you plan to do that pretty fast? Is try and get things going with Seth and Zach quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Next, go back to Aaron Portsline. Go ahead, Porty.
Thank you, Todd. Yarmo, you've got some really big decisions. Brian just mentioned Jones, Werenski. I think there are a lot of people waiting to see what your team may look like, the changes you'll be able to pull off this summer. Do you think coaches will, especially big name veteran coaches, will want to wait and see what you're able to do as well? In other words, is that another advantage of perhaps waiting until you get deep into the summer, a chance for you to make some significant moves and show people where this can get to in the span of a year?
Well, we'll see when we get to that. I don't think that we'll be able to wait until free agency to get a new coach here. I think that decision will come sooner, and I think that experienced coaches would agree with us that we have a lot of good pieces here, and this year was obviously disappointing, but we made the playoffs 4 years in a row, and many of those core players are still here and still in the prime of their career. We have strong goaltending. We have one of the best deep pairings in the league, and some talented young players. So we're going to keep growing here, and I think we'll find a coach who wants to be part of it.
And there's always the belief that organizations go, I hate to use a trite phrase, but good cop, bad cop. So a tough, defensive-minded, driven coach, and then to more of a player's coach. Do you, with your young roster, with your young team, do you think you need maybe less personality in the coaching office and more teaching, growing, more of a player's coach type?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's important the coach sets the standard. I think that's why Torts was so good. He sets the standard every day of how we work here and what we do and how we go about our business. And I think that's really important, how you go about it. There are different personalities, but I think the strong values and the standard, that's the key to the selection process that we have here, because that's the only way you'll get better. And there are different ways of delivering that message, and some do it with a little bit louder voice, and some do it a little bit softer. And there's always players that don't respond as well to the loud voice, but respond better to the softer voice, and vice versa. And so I don't think that you can ever find a coach that will please every player the same way or the group the same way. I think the coach has to be the leader of the group and set the standard and show us the way and keep the strong values there every day. And that's, like I've said this now a few times, but that was the biggest thing that I liked about John Tortorella, that he wouldn't allow you to cheat, and he wouldn't compromise the standard ever, not for a minute, not for a second, and not any day of the week.
Next, go to Jeff Svoboda. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks, Jarmo. Porty kind of took the one question I wanted to ask there, but I'll ask you this. We haven't had a chance to talk to you since you signed Igor Chinakov. And just how exciting is it to bring him into the fold and have a guy that kind of wants to come up through your system and have a chance to work with him next year?
Yeah, it's exciting. He's an exciting young player. He's getting better and better this year. He had a really tough injury that he tried to play through at the World Junior. He played their final game and then was out for 6 weeks after that with a high ankle sprain. And give him credit. For when I first saw the game, I was like, well, he's not playing that well in this game. And I found out that he had the ankle sprain and they numbed it and he tried to play through it and was out for 6 weeks after. So that kind of explained his performance in that game. But then when he came back, he played really well in the KHL and probably had his best games in the playoffs. And he's a goal scorer. He's got a great shot. I talked to Bob Hartley, who's a very experienced NHL coach, who's the coach of Omsk when they won the championship. And he raved about it, Yegor, and said that he's going to be a really good player and got all kinds of skill and an NHL shot. So it's exciting to see him come. We wish he could have made it here before the season was over, but ran into some health issues with this COVID and couldn't come and actually missed Game 7 because of it and when his team won the championship. But yeah, he's an exciting prospect. We got a couple of those in Russia that we have to wait for a little bit longer with Marchenko and Voronkov. And Voronkov had an unbelievable playoff with Kazan and still with the Russian national team, hoping to play in the men's world championships.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Mark Scheid. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Todd. Jarmo obviously got the 3 first-round draft picks coming up, and I just wonder, how prepared are you guys for this draft, given COVID, given maybe limited viewings? I know there was the U18s that just happened. I know Erie's got an event coming up where there's going to be a top prospects game. Just how prepared do you guys feel for this upcoming draft, especially given that you got those 3 first-round picks?
We're as prepared as you could possibly be under these circumstances. We've been watching video all year long. And we got all those tools in our use, and as soon as it was possible, and with the leagues, it has been possible for the year. We've been watching games live, scouting the normal way, and travel's obviously been harder because of all the rules and regulations. But we're doing the best we can, and we have people in place in Canada, in Western Canada, and in Quebec, where they still have played and watching those games and we had 5 of us at the World Junior Under 18. So, we've done the best we can. We keep doing it until the draft. That's what I've been saying, that with this video scouting, you can watch every game the guy plays. When you see a guy play 10, 15 times, you might not watch every other game that you missed on video. But this year, we're going to gather all that information and then do the rest of the due diligence in the background as well.
And Jarmo, a quick follow-up on that. This is the second time in your tenure that you're going to have 3 first-round draft picks going back to 2013. What lessons can you learn from that experience that could possibly help you this year?
Yeah, we have a whole new staff now. That was my first year when I came in with the Blue Jackets, and we hired Viles here. And after that year, he's done a great job as a head of amateur scouting, and this will be a great opportunity to make a difference into our future.
Next, we'll go to Greg Wyshynski. Go ahead, Wish.
Thanks a lot. Hey, Jarmo. I wanted to go back to something you mentioned before about trying to evaluate players on your roster in a weird year like this. I've talked to some of your colleagues around the league, and I keep hearing the same thing about, some younger players in particular who might not have had great seasons compared to what they've done in the past. You have to sort of take into account that the last year has been so hard on them, and with the protocols and quarantines and all that stuff. How do you factor that in trying to evaluate, in particular, the younger players in your roster over the last year?
Yeah, I think you have to give them a fresh start and new opportunity to show what they can do in a normal year. I think that's the best way to put it, and not. We have some players that we've seen for a long time that we believe in, and if they have a down year under these circumstances, I think you have to give them a bit of a hall pass, and move the evaluation into the future a little bit. And yeah, it's been a demanding year in many different ways for all of us, and not just the players but the training staff. You think about our medical staff; they've been here for over a year and never got any time off. They rehabbed our players when everything went into lockdown in March, and kept doing it. And then we went into the bubble in Toronto, and then we didn't know exactly when we were going to start, but they're still working here with our players that needed rehab or medical attention otherwise. And then we start this year, and now they've been in this bubble for another 4 months. So it's been tough, but we're still fortunate that we were able to play and keep the business going. We got some fans into the building, which was exciting, and got things a lot better once that happened. I can tell you the first trip to Chicago was just the weirdest feeling. We stay in a hotel where there's nobody else except us. The whole hotel's closed. No bar, no gift shop, no restaurant open, nothing, and just our team. And I kept joking about it that if I had a 3-wheeler, I would have filmed Shining 2 in that hotel. But it's bizarre, and it was snowing and cold in Chicago, so you couldn't really go outside for a walk. And you go into that building that's one of the loudest buildings in the NHL, and there's not a fan there. It was weird, but hey, we still got to play hockey. We got through the season, and not our best one, obviously, but we'll move on and get better.
And as a follow-up on the coaching search, would you say, based on where your team is, that you're going to put a premium on somebody who has previous NHL head coaching experience in trying to find John's replacement?
Well, experience is valuable, but there's lots of different ways to gain experience. It doesn't always need to be from being a head coach, I think, in the NHL. But I think the ability, personality, the values, as I've mentioned here, those are the biggest criteria, not necessarily the experience.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go to Bill Rabinowitz. Go ahead, Billy.
Hi, Jarmo. One of those young players who had a tough time was Patrick Laine. Could you give your assessment of this year? And is he one of those guys who kind of deserves that hall pass because of the circumstances? Or do you think that there are real questions about his game and things he has to really improve in the future?
Yeah, I don't think his skills have gone anywhere. He's 23 years old, which is easy to forget. And he seems like he's been in the league for a long time and had some pretty good success. And this year didn't go the way he wanted, and he's going to have to reassess here in the summertime, get back into training and getting ready for next season to get back on the level that he's expected to be on. And I'm pretty sure that nobody's more disappointed in Patrick Laine this year than Patrick himself. So yeah, that's probably an example of a young player that struggled this year and for various reasons.
And how committed are you to having him be one of the centerpieces on this team?
Well, we got him in a big trade. We got his rights for 2 more years, so that should be that's self-explanatory, I think.
Next we'll go to Aaron Portzline. Go ahead, Porty.
Thanks, Todd. Jarmo, can you say who all will be involved in this coaching search? Is this you and Basil? Is there anybody else? And with veteran players in the room, I'm thinking of Jones and perhaps others. Certainly not letting them pick the coach, but will they have input into what sort of coach this dressing room may need?
Well, it's our management group that's going to make that decision, but we always listen to our leaders and the leadership group, and we're actually going to meet them today and talk about different things, and I'm sure the coaching will come up, and we'll listen to their opinions and ideas, as we always do. But ultimately, it's the management group that'll make that decision.
In meeting with that leadership group today, how important is it to have all of them on board with what your vision is this summer? How much will you lay out to them what you think you can do in these coming months?
Yeah, it's very important. I'd like to have them on board and being part of this and believing in it, in the plan and fully committed to it.
Next, we'll go to Ryan Kennedy. Go ahead, Ryan. Nope.
Sorry, I didn't have anything there. Oh, no, sorry, I forgot to put it down.
Okay, we'll go to Brian Hedger. Go ahead, Hedge.
Hey, Yarmo, I just had a quick one here. Everyone just kind of looks at your roster, I think, and assumes that one of the goalies is going to have to get traded this off season. Where are you with your goaltending situation? You do have quite a lot of depth, it appears, with Matisse and all these other guys as well. Tarasov coming over. Where do you guys stand going into the off season with the goaltenders, and what kind of stuff do you anticipate there?
Well, both of our goalies are going into the last year of their contract, and then they'll become UFAs. So there's some decisions that we have to make. I was very pleased with how Matisse played the last couple of games here. We've always believed that he can be an NHL goalie, and then we got Daniil Tarasov here now, who we think is an excellent prospect, 6'6" goaltender, who's got all kinds of athletic ability and he's got similar work ethic to Sergei Bobrovsky. So we're very excited about that position. I think that it's a strength of ours, and it'll give us some good options.
When you got two guys like Jonas and Elvis, who both at separate times have proven that they have number one talent. How hard would it be to part with a guy like that? Either whether it's one or the other.
It's always hard when you have to make those decisions, but that's the nature of the business.
Thank you.
Okay, I think last one for Jarmo. We'll go to Ville Toro.
Terve Jarmo. Teidän kausi oli lopulta aikamoinen romahdus muutamasta aiemmasta, niin minkälaisena yllätyksenä sulle tuli ja ootko sä päässyt miten hyvin kiinni syihin, mistä se johtuu?
Ei se mikään romahdus ollut se, että miten meillä meni tuon trade deadlinein jälkeen, niin se nyt on ilman muuta selvää, että kun pelataan divisioonassa, jossa on vain 8 joukkuetta ja periaatteessa 6 niistä tai 7 niistä oli vielä mahdollista päästä playoffeihin, niin jälki on rumaa trade deadlinein jälkeen. Se oli ihan selvä asia, me tiedettiin se ja puolet joukkueesta lähti joko tradein myötä tai loukkaantumisen myötä siinä kohtaa kesälomalle, niin se oli aika selkeä, mitä siinä tulee tapahtumaan, mutta tämä on ollut aika vaikea vuosi kaikki, ne ei pelkästään jäällä, vaan jää ulkopuolella koko tämä protokolla ja kaikki, mitä tähän liittyy. Että niin kuin mä olen sanonut tässä tämän puhelun aikana, niin ei lähdetä turhaan ylianalysoimaan tätä, vaan ruvetaan rakentamaan ensi vuotta ja palataan omalle tasolle.
Kysyn vielä tuosta Laineesta sen verran, että tuossa jo sivusitkin sitä, mutta hänellä ei oikein homma lähtenyt missään vaiheessa kulkeen niillä totutulla tasolla, niin mistä sä näet, että se johtuu ja kuinka luottavainen sä oot, että Laine palaa ensi kaudella huipputasolla?
Mun mielestä suurin ongelma hänen pelaamisessa oli itseluottamus. Sen näki kaverilla, jolla on taitoa vaikka kuinka paljon, hukkas kiekkoja, vaikka ei ketään ollut lähelläkään. Ja niin kyllä se kieli mun mielestä siitä, että sillä on itseluottamus hukassa. Ja sen eteen täytyy tehdä töitä ja ulkopuolella kesällä työt ja palata huippukunnossa tänne ja palauttaa itseluottamus sille tasolle, kun millä se on totuttu näkemään, niin varmasti alkaa syntyä taas tulosta.
Kiitos. Thank you.
All right, everybody. I think that's it for Jarmo. Just to give everyone a heads up on where we're at for the rest of the morning. We're going to start a little early today with players at 10:15. So between 10:15 and 11, we'll have Zach Werenski, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Patrick Laine, Jack Roslovic at about 11. We'll follow that with